My name is Brian Mercier, one of the board members of the PAC that puts on these forums. Welcome to all 9 of the candidates. Great to see you all here. Thank you for being here. This is the first of 3 we host every year. This one's in Grand Ronde. We'll do Portland next weekend, Saturday at 11 a.m. and then Eugene the following Saturday at 11 a.m. The information of the location and time is on the Facebook page, so folks can follow us there to see where to go. I hope all the candidates will join us there. For everybody, I see a lot of familiar faces in the audience, but just real quick about the PAC. So we're a volunteer, nonprofit organization that really is dedicated to trying to improve our voter participation. What I mean by that is we only have about 30% of eligible tribal members that vote every year. And that's, in my opinion, embarrassingly low. So we work here at the PAC to try to get our candidates' words out to folks that will inspire them to come to the polls and send in their ballot and vote for our best, most qualified candidates. The way we afford to do all this is every Oregonian has a $50 use-or-lose tax credit from the state of Oregon. So we ask that folks give us that $50 tax credit and you get it back on your taxes. So it's a free $50 that you get from the state of Oregon to give to a PAC. We use that $50 then to pay for this venue, pay for the food, pay for the website, where we post the videos, and essentially also at the end we elect, or the PAC members, whoever's given the $50 dues, they select the top 3 candidates, and then we split up whatever balance is remaining to help pay for signs and mailings, because mailings are so expensive. So it's very difficult for candidates to get their word out, so we try to support that by the money we've raised. It's typically in about $1,000 per candidate range that we ultimately end up giving back, because we raise about $3,500 or so. It costs about $500 a year to maintain all the forums and the website, and the rest goes back out to each of the candidates that we select. So it's a really great process. I think these forums are really informative because there's only one question from the PAC, and then we turn it over to the audience, and it's an opportunity for you all to really kind of prepare for the role of being on council. One of the first things I think you'll learn on council is that you have to speak in public, representing the tribe all the time. So you've got to get a lot of practice. This is good practice for everybody. Typically we start with a prayer. I don't know, is anybody here, Lou, can I ask you maybe come up and give us a prayer to kick us off, and then we'll launch.
Our dear Heavenly Father, Creator, Master of all, we're grateful this day for the opportunity to be able to come together as a tribe and be able to discuss the opportunities of these individuals, that they might be able to find a place in their leadership. We ask Thy spirit of contention to be set aside, that we might be able to work with love and understanding to be able to reach this information. We ask for those that are traveling that they might be able to do so safely. We ask for Thy continued guidance and spirits in all that we do. Please bless at this time the veterans that serve us. They might be able to continue to protect us and guide us. We ask that will give them blessings of protection. We ask the same thing for our young tribal members as they begin to learn the understanding and processes. Please, again, we invoke Thy Spirit here in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Lou. So real quick, just some ground rules for the candidates so you all understand. I'm going to be timing, I'm going to be trying to keep it fair, making sure everybody gets about the same amount of time speaking. So if I feel, as I ask a question, I'll say how much time folks have to respond. It's typically 2 or 3 minutes. If you're running a little long, I'll start to do this. And that's just a word to cut off. And if I have to cut you off further, I'll speak into the mic. But please try to respect when I start tapping on the mic, that means your time is up. So what we're going to usually, as usual custom, we start off with an introductory statement from each of the folks. So we're going to give you guys each 2 minutes to start off. Talk about who you are, why you're running, and what you hope to accomplish if elected to tribal council. So if it's all right, I'll start down here on this end and just kind of work our way across, if that's okay. And I'll hand this mic right here, Cheryl, to you since I'm standing right next to you.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for all of our tribal members who came and our visitors. Appreciate that. I know it shows me that there's interest and that folks want to know more about what's happening with our tribal council, as well as what we will be heading down in the path in the future. My name is Cheryl Kennedy. I have served on tribal council for many years, and that's not to say that I know everything there is to know, but I have devoted my life to serving the tribal members, not only through almost 2 decades of employment for the tribe, and then another 2 decades on tribal council. So my life has been to work for the tribe and to see that tribal members' needs are met, and that I believe that when we have a very stable tribal government, that we're able to do more things. So my belief is that the stability of tribal council in our government is paramount. All of the relationships that we build along the way help us to get where we're going and to ensure that our sovereign treaty rights are met. Thank you. Again, my name is Cheryl Kennedy, and I ask for your support.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Lahayam, Shlushik San, John George, Nikanin. Good morning and good day to you. My name is John George. I am currently sitting council for the tribal and the tribal council secretary. We want to thank you so much for joining us today. And it is an honor and has been an honor for the last 6 years to serve my membership. And when we look at our job and our, as a tribal leader, I take that very seriously. I feel that it is very, very serious to look at our financial stability, to look forward for our economic development in our tribe so that we can have opportunities, and also more opportunities for the tribe and our membership to move forward and to also look at the times of working together today. This year I look forward to creating more unity amongst our leadership here. I want the membership to know also that how when I was elected, I knew that, upon my raising, of elders here, as I was born here in Grand Ronde, that I knew that respect was one of the more powerful things that you can have that help develop my character about caring for people, and so I bring, an honor of respect to this leadership amongst us and to work together for unity, among us. So I really, really thank you for the opportunity for the last 6 years to serve you, and I look forward also for your support for the next 3 years also, and your support to serve you also again and work together for all of our membership. Doesn't matter who and where you are. I think of every one of you when a decision is made for that. So thank you.
Good morning. My name is Brenda Tuomi, and I am finishing up my very first term. I appreciate everyone's support and their feedback because it's made me a better council member. I would appreciate your support serving another term. I feel like this is where I belong. I feel like I've really gotten my feet wet, I'm grounded, and I'm ready to become even a better tribal council member. I know we've talked about change a lot in the past, and maybe some are probably tiring of that, but change is really slow sometimes. And at the same time, I feel like we're getting there. We're moving in a positive direction. Our tribal council is working really well together. We're professional, we're respectful, and change is coming, I promise. So I believe I've gained an unbelievable amount of knowledge, and I'm very excited. Many people told me in the beginning, it will take you a good year and a half to get going in the right direction, and I believe that. And that's one of the reasons why, now that I've gotten that under my belt, I want to continue. So I would appreciate your support for another term. I would love to serve another term.
Morning, everyone. My name is Brent Merrill. My roll number is 1362. I'm the son of Donna Stronach, and I'm the grandson of Freeman Bean. Many of you might remember my late Uncle Tom Bean, and the work that he did in the community. And one of the reasons I'm running for council is I want to continue, that kind of attitude and that kind of work that he put out. He was the kind of guy who would do anything for anybody, and I kind of want to be like that someday when I grow up, so I'm working on it. I've been out here in Grand Ronde for a long time. The tribe recruited me out of college back when there was only 12 employees total in the entire tribal structure. We were down at the Manor building, and I got to be in a unique position to set up the paper and set up the fish and wildlife programs and things like that. So I've been out here a long time, and I just wanted to say that I'm really excited about the tribe's future, and I want to play a part in that as we move forward. I also wanted to show respect to the three incumbents that are next to me here. Each of them are really, really good people, and so as we move forward, through the campaign, people will be putting their agendas forth. I want my campaign to show respect to you guys and the work that you've done so far, because I think you're all good people, and folks next to me on this side of the table also throwing their hats in for the first time, and getting out there. It takes a lot of courage to sit here and take this on. So I have a lot of respect for those folks. But yeah, I wanted you to know who I was and a little bit about my family, and just again share with you my excitement about moving the tribe forward. I have I think some great ideas about getting this to a different place. I'm so respectful of the folks who came before us, and the endowments that they put in place and the business that they put in place for us and where that's brought us. And now I think it's really up to us to use our education that we got through the tribe and use our experience that we got through the tribe. I've worked for many tribes now. I've been published in books that are all over the country and done documentaries and things, and so I want to put that experience to work for our people. So that's why I'm running.
Thanks, Brent.
Yes, my name is Victor Curtin, and I'm a grandson of Adeline Menard Haller. Anyway, I moved here in 2006, and I've had lots of opportunities to talk to the public, the elders, all the people that I've ran into. I believe we've got a great tribe, and I stand behind it 100%. I think we've done many great things, but I think there's even greater things that's in store for the people. There's a great concern and great talk. We have such a huge division, I'm going to call it. I think there should be some process in trying to bring us back together as one people. Under one nation. We need to be, I don't know how you put it, but we need to be brought back together where we can agree on things that's going to improve the tribe itself. Our fundings, our education, and all this stuff, is very important to us. And we need to be in a place that we can set our people at peace and know that they've got someone working for them that'll move in a mighty way for them. So I want to be that voice. I've talked to many people, and I told them, there's a lot of them out there with concerns. They've tried to have people listen to them, but they have no answers. And I want to be that person that can step in and say, hey, this is the concern of the people. They want to know what's going on, and see if I can't get an answer also. But like I said, I really appreciate it, also the council also, and I believe they've done a great deal, but I believe there's more that can be done for the people. So I appreciate all the support I get. So anyway, that's about all I got. Thank you guys.
My name is Christina Helfrich, and I'm the granddaughter of Valerie Grau. Everybody brought up a lot of really good points as to what's going on with the tribe and like Victor said, the division and whatnot. And as a tribal member, I feel that it is my duty to do something if I feel things aren't right. I don't know all of the solutions, but we are a divided tribe right now, and we need to figure out how to get back together, be united, and try to get some of the members that have kind of walked away to come back and get more involved. You know, you look out in the very small crowd here today, and there should be more people here. More people should be engaged and should care. And I feel like we need people that the membership can feel is going to be a voice for them. And somewhere along the lines, it seems like that may have gotten lost, or people feel that it has been lost. You know, there's things that I want to do as far as our history and our future, economic development, and protecting the investments that we already have. I myself was guilty of kind of just turning my head and being frustrated. And I don't have that right. I have to get involved. That's, you know, if I want to have opinions and try to do something about it, I need to get out, get re-involved, and start talking to people and get our voices heard. I have done recently, since I've made this decision, you know, gotten re-involved in the community, and there's a lot of great things and a lot of opportunities out there, and unfortunately, there's nobody there when you go to things. And I would like to see that change. And I'm always open to hear anybody's ideas. I have a lot to learn. And again, my name is Christina Helfrich. I'm asking, you know, for your support, but also your guidance. I would love to sit down and chat with anybody who can give me some ideas and some insight, and share their feelings so that I can help be a voice for that. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Peter Grout. I'm the son of Val and Peter Grout. I was lucky enough to grow up and watch my mom on the council, and the tireless work that they did, and what they set up for us to have now are amazing things. I think we can always build on that. I think there are a few issues that we are definitely divided on that need to be resolved. That's very important to bring us back together. My main reason for being on council is to give back to the tribe so much that is given to me. You know, help buying a home, a career that I've had in Spirit Mountain for 20 years, healthcare for my family, culture for my kids, things that, you know, weren't there for me when I was younger. I feel I'm kind of in a unique position that I was jokingly like to say oops when my parents were 40. So I grew up with those kind of old world 40s and 50s and 60s values, but I understand today's world too. So I kind of, like I said, consider myself in a bit of a unique position to have those values and see what was, you know, what it was like, and hear the stories of what it was like. And, you know, we couldn't speak our language, and, you know, and all those type of things, and just really mainly just want to give back. You know, I think we're definitely moving in the right directions on a lot of things, and a few things need to be fixed. But I think overall we're together. Just a few issues that I think need to be fixed. So I'd like to wish the best of luck to all the candidates, and just you know, if you feel like I'm the person you want to support, please, I ask for that support. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jonathan George. I'm the son of Ronald George, and I've been back here in this community for 24 years. I've worked at Spirit Mountain for 20, and now we're at the tribe and the HR. You know, I've seen this community grow to what it is, and, you know, thankful for past council to, you know, have the foresight of using our gaming dollars to build our endowment so everybody can have an opportunity. And the reason why I'd like to run this year is so I can help build on that. And a lot of people have touched on this panel that unity, try to help heal the division in the tribe right now. And hopefully with my past experience and being here in the community for the past 25 years, it's been I can able to help bring some ideas to the table. And I ask you guys for your support, and thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Steve Bob Sr., and I'm a past council member. And I can remember I was 5 years old at the termination of this tribe here in Grand Round. Didn't mean a whole lot to me, didn't know what it meant, and didn't have to worry about it. But now, I do remember quite clearly the people who were here and how people treated each other. You treated each other with kindness, you went to people's houses, you took them food, you went to people's houses and you visited. And you watched over and took care of each other in this community. That's what you did. My grandmother made clothes for the girls who couldn't afford clothes so they could have some sort of confidence when they went to school. My grandfather even lent his new car to people so they could make their once-a-month trip to Salem or to McMinnville to get their supplies and stuff like that. That's what people did here. And over the years, I have seen that kind of go away. And for me, being on council, that is what I want to do, is bring our people back together to a time when that's the way we operated. And that's what we did. And we took care of each other. Through the years, I've seen the separation, like most of these people have said right here at this table, that we need to bring people back together. And that's what we do need to do. Because you can't get anything done when you're glaring at each other across that table. And I sat there, so I know. You can't get anything done when half of you are mad at the other side. That has got to heal up. You people should demand that. You are the members. You are the ones that should say, this council needs to work together, forget about all the pettiness and all the arguments, and get together and start working on things that need to be done. That's what we have to do here. I've been retired for 5 years. I'm not desperate for work, trust me. But I look back and I see how things are going and how things are fading away. People are madder and madder each day. Trust me, if they wasn't mad, council wouldn't be asking for bulletproof glass in front of their chairs. Really? That's craziness. That's where we've got? No, that's not working. We are one family, and we're going to get back to being one family. We're going to work together and do what we need for you people. And that's why I'm running. Thank you.
All right, thank you to all the candidates for the opening statements. I really appreciate it. So I'll lead us off real quick with the first question. There was one housekeeping thing I forgot to remind folks, is that we do record all these, so you all probably participating are giving us permission to post this on the internet. So keep that in mind as you're answering questions. The first question that we had, it actually touches on a lot of the statements from the candidates. This year was the first year, so for the last 10, this is the 10th year of the PAC actually hosting these forums. And it started when I moved back to the West Coast in 2009. And during those 10 years, I would go to Canada, to Payamsha's Governor's Dinner every year. And this is the first year in 10 years that Grand Ronde sent a tribal representative to the Governor's Dinner. In the 10 years I had been going. Michael Langley drove all the way out there, so I want to give Michael a shout out for that, to be a Grand Ronde representative. In those 10 years that I was there representing my work, all the other tribes sent representatives except for Grand Ronde. And I think it's indicative of this divisiveness that many of you described here internally as well. Folks tend to kind of dig in and go it alone, and my way is or the highway approach. So the first question we have, not just to our internal politics, but I think to our broader tribal nations here in Oregon and in the Northwest, how would you as a council member specifically propose to bridge those gaps, to mend those bridges? Specifically, what would you do to try to reunite this tribe and also reintegrate Grand Ronde back into other tribal nations? Because it's very, I think, indicative to see that only this year, in the last 10 years, that we actually send somebody to the Warm Springs Governor's Dinner. that shouldn't be, as Steve and others have said, that should not be the way it is. So I'll ask for a hand of who would like to start to answer that question. Again, the question is, what would you specifically do as a tribal council member to mend the bridges here internally, but also externally with other tribes? Who would like to go first? Steve, go ahead.
Okay, like I was just saying that, we have to work together to bring our people back together. And if you're going to be a council member, one thing that you have to be, not only here locally, but outside, is you have to be accessible and you have to be visible. I'm both of those, because I'm free, I'm retired, I'm right here, I can get around when I need to and do what I need to do to get things done. And I think I'm visible enough, people probably get tired of seeing me everywhere, and I'm sure that they do. So that's one thing that you have to do, is you have to be visible, you have to be out there, and you have to be able to talk to people. And talking to people is sometimes a tough thing for a lot of people to do, because it's kind of gotten down to where a lot of people are fairly rude to you. People who don't even know you will say things about you, have never even met you. So you have to be able to work and deal with people and let some of that stuff slide off your back. And sometimes that does happen around here, which causes a lot of animosity and the arguments and stuff that continue to just take place over and over. So accessibility and be able to work together and get out and see people, not only here locally, but in other areas. And I know a lot of people in them other tribes, the Warm Springs Rams, I have relatives over there. So I know quite a few of the people. So, I'm not afraid to go visit with these guys. That's what you have to do. You have to be able to walk up to them and talk to them and get business done. So carry yourself in a good manner. Am I done? Okay, yeah, you got to carry yourself in a good manner, be able to be personable with people and talk to them and maintain your cool when things can get a little tight, because they will. So that's what I would present myself to do.
Thank you, Steve. So I had Cheryl down here, then Brenda, and then Peter and Christina. Okay, so let's go Cheryl. We'll get to you, John, too. Here, I'll use this one.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate the question. It's a good question. Throughout my time, I have attended the governor's powwow at least 4 times during the time that I was chair, and always was welcomed. Again, I do have many ties with the Warm Springs people. I have 2 sisters who are married into the tribe there, so I have many nieces and nephews who are members of the Warm Springs people. Having grown up there, I also have very strong ties because of my relationships and my friends that I have there. So, but how to overcome some of the difficulties and the barriers is a question I think that has to be dealt with from the heart. I do think that when we respect one another on a personal level, that really helps to bridge and overcome some of the gaps that are there. As far as a government, and that's what we're talking about here, is how is we as a government move forward into some relationships. I believe that there are MOUs that can be established. In the old days, there were lots of traditions that you embarked upon. One of them was marriage. One of them was being able to provide provisions to other tribes and to allow them, like we used to at Willamette Falls, and share in the bounty that was there. So today, I rely back upon some of those practices, as well as knowing that there are eras of time that will come and go, and the wars of the casino wars will come and go as well. And so I know that, and I know that building relationships in other areas are very important. I believe that the tarot ordinance that we developed and the tarot work that we're doing has really demonstrated that we do want to work with other tribes. We understand their position and we're willing to support them and step back and not push what our agenda might be over what their agenda might be. So those meetings, we will continue to sit at the table, we will continue to speak from the heart, and we will come forward with a handshake and an open mind. So I believe that there's healing there, And it's really demonstrated through how we conduct ourselves and how caring we really are. I believe we are a caring people.
Thank you, Cheryl. So we'll go Brenda, then Peter.
So, how will I bridge gaps with the other tribes? First of all, I will start with myself. I really think that we have to look inward. And my goal is to have a heart of peace rather than a heart of warring. I think we need to really build the relationships with other tribes by being respectful and compassionate, using our personal relationships or building the personal relationships with other council members. I'm going to meet with Warm Springs, a council member from Warm Springs today. And we're going to have a really personal level and hard discussion about treaty rights, because we all know that that's been a sore spot for us. So rather than ignoring it or making my own assumptions, I want to hear from her. I want to sit down and I really want to hear from her, and I want her to listen to me. Another way, as a newer council member, that I will build is I will listen to my more experienced council members. I will listen to the history, and I will try to figure out how I can play into that history, how I can make things better. Earlier I mentioned that I felt like this tribal council is really working well with respect and collaboration. And I think that now is, we've all talked about reaching out to the other tribes and how we might build those relationships. So we're all on the same page and we're ready to go and do that. And I am very committed to that.
Thank you. Peter. And then Christina after that.
As far as, internal bridges to gap, I think, probably our two biggest issues right now that people are most divided on is the audit process and split families. The audit process, I feel, needs to be completed. We continue to, it seems like, reopen that wound with ordinances or firings or secondary audits. That process needs to be complete, and just so we can begin to heal from it. As far as, Warm Springs and others, I think we are all aware that that issue probably stemmed from, or that issue did stem from Cascade Locks, and as Cheryl said, the casino wars. You can bridge those gaps by going to those events, working together with common goals, whether it be, I've heard talk of a joint casino with the 9 tribes, whether it's a common goal for tribes as a whole. It's just a matter of getting out there, finally just getting past the hurt, getting out there, shaking hands, talking to people. I mean, it's, everybody's fought with a friend or a family or anything else. You take the time to separate and come back and whether it's something small or whatever it is, just get back together and start with something small and move on from there and just add to it as it goes. Thank you.
Christina.
I've actually given a lot of thought to bridging the gaps between tribes and whatnot, and even more so after reading the news about Kanita last night. And it was actually very nice to see how many of our tribal members were very sad to see, what is happening there. And I think that these are the times when we need to reach out and put our best foot forward. We need to reach out during times like this. I mean, closing down their spa and their resort is probably very devastating to a lot of people in that community, which all tribes go through things like that, and that's definitely not a time to have any type of tribal wars or anything going on. There's a time and a place, and sometimes you just need to put other things aside and be respectful to what people are going through. Also with our own tribe and the things that we have going on, a lot of stuff that Peter had touched on, you're looking at a lot of animosity within our own tribe and a lot of what people consider unfinished business. And we need to fix what's wrong in our own backyard before we start worrying about what's going on in the backyard of other people. And I feel like if we could get to a point to where we can address some of these issues that have seemed to be put on the back burner, or people feel that have been just sitting there dormant for too long, and get these things resolved and be stronger as a tribe and come together and stand together, we're going to be able to do more for other people and the people around us, and go out and be present, be positive, listen, be respectful. I know with a lot of the membership, a lot of the frustration that they find with our own tribe is, you know, you want to go and bring some of these issues to light, or you want to go talk about things, and it's really hard to get a meeting with somebody, to get in and just talk, you know. Back in the day, you used to be able to just walk in, and I understand that there's reasons why you can't do that anymore. But, you know, our council is very busy at times, and when there's travel and business and all these other things, you kind of feel like they don't have the time for you, and then you kind of let it go, when in fact that may not be the case. You just got to find the right time that works for everybody. But most likely I think that we need to fix a lot of what's going on in our own tribe without worrying about others quite so much.
Thank you, Christina. So we're going to come down here to John.
Thank you, Brent. Well, a lot of the things that have been said, you know, I believe in, and I was writing things down before they even got to said, but so it looks like I'm not copying anybody and trying to say, take their idea, whatever, you know, from them. So, you know, but we have had discussions regarding our tribal members, and to set, we've had conversations about setting time aside on a day of the week so that tribal members actually can come and visit with tribal council during the day if they have time, and so that we can listen to them. The first part, and I think the most important part, is to sit and listen first. Not trying to come up with ideas, tell people what we're going to do. It's about listening about what our tribal members want, and to hear them, take them serious, and respect all their opinions. If it be good or bad, it's still about being respectful to what our members are saying for them. And even our community, we meet with community members also, so it don't have to just be tribal members also, but our tribal members are who we work for. And everything else we've come up with an idea too that I've been having discussion with also about trying to involve more of our tribal members from outside the area also, about having a time like maybe during our general council meetings to have video conferencing and stuff too, so that we also have the respect of listening to somebody who lives in Florida or New York or whatever, or even Australia and stuff too, wherever they may live. We have ones in Canada also. So I think it's good that we can be able to bring them together too and listen to even what they want and their need too. I think it comes down to even when the leadership has to make a decision, sometimes they're not the most popular decision that we have to make. You know, sometimes they're very tough decisions that we have to make, you know, and it may not feel like it's for everybody, or somebody say we may be just trying to, you know, make decisions just for certain people or certain membership also. You know, it's about really, for me, is being fair and doing what is right also. And I think also too, myself growing up here in Grand Ronde in an alcoholic, dysfunctional family, so too, I think the way that what we bring to the table or what somebody may react to about is maybe some of also their own hurt also. So maybe some of their own dysfunction of how they may be able to communicate with people or what they have learned. So too, so it also begins with a healthy families too, and I didn't get to the other tribes, sorry, Brian, on that too.
It's all right.
But I think it is about being respectful with the other tribes. Also, too, greet them, shake their hand, but I also think that we can also invest in their projects also. That shows about how we do care about the other tribes.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that. Brent, Victor, or Jonathan? Brent, you want to go next?
Well, one of our more beloved former council members used to call me into his office by calling me Warm Springs Lover. He'd say, "Hey, Warm Springs Lover, come here." And yeah, I wear that proudly. When my Uncle Merle passed away, it was Warm Springs people that came over to bury him. They wanted to make sure it was done right. So I always respect them. When we were getting restored, they were the ones who stepped up and spoke on our behalf. They're the ones who made sure that we had hunting and fishing rights included. They said, you know, Bernice Mitchell got up and said you can't restore those people without giving them food. It's as simple as that, you know. So a lot of my consulting work was done with Warm Springs, and one of the things I'm most proud of is that I didn't participate in any of those things that went down between us and them. That wasn't my gig, and I wasn't going to be a part of that. So it cost me a lot, but I'm proud that I didn't participate in that, and because I do have respect and love for Warm Springs people. A lot of my work has been done over at Silet's. One of the things I'm most proud of is my time at Silet's was they also have, you know, a split council. And the only thing that they ever voted 9-0 on was my contract. So I was really proud of that. The only time that they were ever unanimous in any of their votes as a council was to renew my contract. So that made me proud. My uncle, Joe Kirk, is the former chairman of the Klamath tribe, so I have ties down there. I've worked really closely with the folks up in Washington when I worked for the Fish Commission. I used to work for Billy Frank. I wrote his speeches, I wrote his columns. So I have ties with all those tribes up there, especially Lummi. And then all the work that we did in our public relations work here, you know, it gives you a good reputation throughout Indian country. When I would call tribes, I didn't have to introduce myself, they knew who I was. So that really helped. All the years I've worked on, you know, documentaries and the authors, the chapters and things I've written for books, you get close with those tribes when you're working with them. So I think we can do it. I think that you just got to, like John said, you got to show respect, you got to shake their hand, you got to be tangible in that way, and it'll come back to you. So I think that we have a lot of work to do if we want to improve our reputation in Indian country, but I think we can do it, so thank you.
Thanks, Brent. Victor or John? Let's go Jonathan next, and then Victor.
Yeah, I would make sure that for outside, for other tribes, that make sure we have a representative go to, you know, to their functions, reach out and try to start the healing process on some of the tribes that we don't have a great relationship with, and to try to find some common ground to work with, and get back to where, as a whole, the Indian country working together on issues that affect all the tribes, and for internally to, you know, listen to the membership. You know, we post to work, you know, council posts to work for the membership, so not all of us have all the answers, and, you know, I don't think any of us expect, you know, that we should be providing all the answers. So, you know, it's very important to listen to what the membership has to say, be respectful, and you know, when people get, you know, kind of upset, they don't think they're being heard, you know, don't take it personally yourself. You know, always, you know, to make sure that we always put our best foot forward, listen, and always be accessible as much as possible. Like John said, you know, make sure, you know, set some time aside every week to take phone calls, have people come in, visit you, talk to you face to face. You know, that's one thing I think that's missing right now is that they're not as accessible as we all would like. So that's what I would do.
Thanks, Jonathan. Victor, you want to bring us home?
Okay, I'd like to say also, I believe, like John on the right, but anyway, I believe like him that we need to be a people that will listen, you know, a council that will listen to the people. I don't know how many times I've tried to call over. All I ever get's an answering machine, and a lot of times after that, I hardly ever get a return call. You know, there's too many people that have needs out there, and they're looking for someone that's going to say, hey, I can understand what you're going through. You know, people elect us for one purpose only, and that is to rule their tribe in an honest and honorly manner. You know, we're here to lift the people up, you know, and make sure everything stays, you know, like our endowments and all this, they need to be, you know, taken care of, you know, and how do we know what's going on behind their backs? You know, that's what a lot of the complaints on, you know, too many people are doing things, you know. I really believe it's a power thing right now, and I don't think that's right. That's why we got such a big unity. I think there's a way that we could work together and get these things solved. You know, there are easier ways to do it. You know, I think, you know, using our title as a way to hide things, that ain't right. Everything should be brought out before the people. You know, let the people know what's going on. You know, don't just say, hey, all of a sudden you come up with something, this is what it should be. It shouldn't be that way. You know, we should be together as one. You know, we're just, like I say, I got elected and I'm a council member, and I shouldn't use my council membership to seem a little bit higher than all the rest of them, because they elected me to be a voice, and that's what I want to be. If my phone rings and I'm in my office, I want to be there to answer it and hear the complaint and see if there's anything I can do to improve that person. You know, his question. You know, I had the opportunity to go to Warm Springs. A lot of the tribal elders, you know, I took them on all their trips to their things, and I really believe, you know, one of the greatest things I seen when I was down over at Warm Springs was the love and the concern the people had for each other. Not only that, they reached out to our tribe, and they put on one of the greatest shows, even though they're probably one of the poorest nations. But they give us one of the best shows that we've had, you know. And I think that's the way we all should be. All tribes should be united like they was. You know, even their children was partakers of the tribal elders' day. So I really think there's more that we can be. And I think the greatest thing we can be is that voice for the people.
Thank you, Victor. All right. So this is the moment for folks in the audience to raise your hand if you have a question. Lou, you're lining up? All right, come on over.
I know there's not a lot of time. We've been here for 55 minutes, and I'm the first person to get asked a question, and that's okay. But the reality is I had 15 questions, and I know not all of them will be answered. So I'm going to ask one question. The question is, as you're aware, Seven Feathers Casino facing a 37% turnover, which is actually less than where we're at in our lower lines, kicked their minimum wage for EVS employees to $12 and $14 an hour, respectively. Now, the tribal council is the shareholder of the one share of stock that the casino has. You're the controllers. The board of directors, which I sat on for 6 years, is advisory. We don't really make a decision. We talk about things, and then we put it before the council. Here's the question, and it's a yes or no answer. Do you believe and feel comfortable that the compensation study that was done for Spirit Mountain Casino was fair and equitable based on the fact that we are still sitting at about 10 cents above minimum wage, and that McDonald's, Target, and several of the other industries out there are paying $11 to $13 an hour for the same type of labor without the background requirement? Part two. Human Resources Department move to the tribe, in my mind as the manager of the casino, was the worst decision this tribal council has ever made. They're not accessible, they're not available, they're not there when they need to be, they don't work the same hours as us, they don't have the same privileges as us, they have more privileges than we do, and it's extremely difficult for us to try to be able to get things across. The hours lost trying to be able to make transitions between those 2 points is astronomical, and I've got the numbers if you guys want to see them. Okay, so here's the question. Are you as a tribal council ready to work to resolve the human resource problem and the wage disparity at the casino?
Let me try to paraphrase and summarize the 2 questions here for the candidates. So the first one is, do you, yes or no answer, do you feel the compensation study was fair and equitable that was done at the casino? And then part 2, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Lou, what all would you do to try to improve the human relations challenges that are occurring right now due to the previous council's decision to move human resources from the casino over to the new HR building here on the tribal government campus? So I had Peter raise his hand first, so we'll go Peter, then we'll go Steve, then Christina. So yes or no on the first one, and then you can ad lib on the second.
No on the first one. That's one of the things that I've talked about numerous times is that we're lucky as a nation right now that unemployment is very low. We are in a very rural area. We're running through people and new hires are going. I know of one that quit during new hire the other day. People just get here and figure out it's a long way to drive. It's a lot, gas is continuing to go up again. The structure of the casino is very structured, as there's a lot of mix and regs and those type of things, and people just figure out very quickly it's not for them. So definitely need to raise wages, do some, maybe it's through, we have a gas station, maybe we do some discounts for workers. As far as the second part of the question, can you remind me of the question?
Yeah, so the movement of HR over to the tribal government campus?
Yeah, HR, I will admit, was a bit confusing to me because it used to be down the road. We moved it over to the casino because of the issues with safety of driving down there every day at the time, not having people present. I believe that it should have stayed separate. It's 2 separate entities. I'm not sure what the fix is because we've spent a lot of money on that building, moved a lot of people around. It's just that's a tough one to answer. Is how would you fix it? But I do agree that it was much better when HR was on site for the casino and HR was on site for the tribe. Thank you.
Let's go, Steve.
Okay. Right now.
Steve, you have to turn it back on. I think you turned it off for you. We'll go back to answer you guys after this.
You did it on purpose. As everybody knows, I'm currently on the board. I'm vice chair of the Spirit Mountain Gaming Incorporated. And most people know that even when I was back on council, I am for the staff. I'm always leaning towards the staff because they are the backbone of this operation. Other people might get the credit, but the people in the trenches are the ones doing the work that make things happen. So I'm always for the staff. And down at the casino, the differences between down there and down here is not apples and oranges. It is totally separate. The people here, as you know, get a half a day off before any holiday that comes up. A half a day, paid, mind you. People at the casino have to work weekends, they have to work holidays, they have to work in the evening. It's totally separate. And these are the people who make the money that makes this operation run up here. If those people are not taken care of and help to do their job down there, things are going to stop here. Without them doing their job down there, things are literally going to come to a grind right here, and people are going to go home. So we need to take care of those people down there. So I'm always going to be for the staff first, and that They asked for all this compensation study, took up hours of people's staff time to come up with this booklet of just numbers and numbers and numbers. And it's just a blur. People look at it and they don't even know what they would make of that stuff. So yeah, I think a whole lot of wasted time to put that thing together. That's an easy decision to help people down there in that casino that make the money for you, that makes this operation run. And when they moved I was on council when they did move HR and Ones combined them, and I could see the point that a one-stop place to come in where they could talk to at one time instead of either going down there or coming up here. So it made it handy, but then caused a good division, almost like we have our own councils. Now we have the casino people and the people up here on the government side bickering and arguing with each other. So again, I don't know that that was a great decision now in the end, even though I was part of it in the beginning. It seemed like a good idea, but I don't know that it's working today. But our staff has to be taken care of. We're remote. People are quitting because of gas prices coming out here. It's hard to fill. We got people being overworked. That hurts morale. That hurts customer service. That hurts the casino. That hurts you. So yeah, this staff thing, we have to take care of them first. They have to come first. Let's do what we have to do to keep everybody happy, keep morale up, and keep business rolling like we need it to be, and good customer service, which in the end is what it's all about. So staff first. Thank you.
Yes. So we're going to go Christina, then we'll come down here. So Christina, then we'll go Brenda and John.
No. As far as the wage issue and concern, I don't agree with that at all. I do not think it's fair. We seem to not only not take into consideration the travel that people have to do to come out here to work for us and the cost that's associated with that, but they also seem to keep trying to want to do more part-time positions with no benefits. And that's very damaging to us as far as trying to get applicants. People don't want to come and drive this far, not make very much money, and not get benefits. I'm not sure what the answer is to that. I've kind of thought that, you know, we do need part-time positions, and maybe there's a smaller benefits package that we could try to offer them, something that at least puts them in compliance. You know, people don't want to get the penalties at the end of the year, and there's got to be something that we can do for our part-time people, and I'm not sure what the answer is to that, but people don't want to drive here and work that hard and be that short-staffed for what we have to offer. And as far as the HR problem, I think that's huge. I don't think they ever should have moved. We are, as employees of the casino, required to be open 24/7, and HR should be too. There should always be somebody there that they can go to, or when we have employee issues and cannot get a hold of somebody and we can't take care of things, some things are very time sensitive, and it puts you in a position to where you have to make poor decisions that could be overturned because you don't have that person there and available to talk to and give you advice. You know, should I pull this person's badge? Should I do an investigation? You know, what steps to take depending on the issue, and people need to be available for that, and that's not always the case. I do like the new building and where it's at, and the accessibility and everything that was there for the idea of that, but I also think that we should have, when the building is closed, maybe we should have some people on site at the casino that work those other shifts, somebody that's going to be there when we need somebody right away.
Okay, thank you, Christina. Let's go down here to Brenda.
So, Lou, I don't know where he went. That's an interesting question, and I know that you requested a yes or no, but I feel it's impossible for a couple of reasons. First, you have to be able to see the information. You have to have been able to look at the compensation study, and I serve on the board also. I just want to let you know. And then once you see that information, you have to have some kind of knowledge or experience looking at that information and figuring out what it means, figuring out if it wasn't done in the correct manner or if there's one piece missing that would make it look different. So it's really, from the information I've seen, I don't believe that it was done correctly, but I have to admit I do not have a whole bunch of experience in compensation. So, interesting question and challenging. As far as the HR, now I was not on board when that decision was made, so I don't know the reasoning behind that. I didn't participate in the conversations. What I have had experience with is what has happened since and the complaints and the concerns. What I do want you to know is that Tribal Council is doing a human resource audit to figure out what is working and what is not. So then once we get that audit, the results of that, the findings, then we'll be able to possibly make some changes.
Thank you, Brenda. John? And then we'll go to Jonathan.
Yes, and I think as the three incumbents sitting here, I think information that we carry is maybe a little unfair to the non-incumbents also from there, but I think it is a good point to look at, should that compensation be audited? Because other than that, like I say with Brenda too, if you don't have enough information, how can you make a good decision, to decide if that is a fair and equitable compensation for them? What I do know though is that our lower line staff, I think, are the ones I think that should be compensated. They are the ones there working day in, day out. They are the ones that greet our customers at the casino and from that point is that customer will decide if they've had good customer service or not, if they're going to return or not to our casino. Those are the important parts that we need to. I remember when we opened back up in 1995 in the casino, that was probably one of the biggest and most important things that anybody ever said about Spirit Mountain Casino is how well they were greeted, how well they were treated, and also about how they were compensated, in all of those areas. I remember that. It was a wonderful time, but that took more employees to be able to do that. Because I remember somebody used to stand at the door and greet you to Spirit Mountain Casino. Now you could walk in and you're kind of wondering where you're going, And so these are the types of things that I think when we look at compensations and about the fair and equitable is to really see that our line staff people are the ones that are compensated and that are treated well, that are paid well, and from that, our executives and all those upper management staff and everything else, they have good paying jobs on there. And so, they can make a living. It's the person that down here that's waiting on you, that's, directing you, that's somebody that, like you said, has to put gas in their car, has to worry about child care for their children, to be able to come to work, to see that their car is running well, to be able to make it to work to begin with. Those are the ones that, are the ones that are struggling. Those are the ones that we should be caring about. Under that. Oh, those 2 minutes go way too fast. Way too fast. So I'm like,
all right, John, let's wrap it up here.
Right here, okay. And our HR building, yes, at that time it was a test, and so, like Brenda said, it's being audited to see if it's still good.
Thanks, John. Jonathan.
Yeah, the compensation study, it probably, for our frontline staff, probably was not fair enough. Lou, as a someone who worked down at Spirit Mountain for 20 years and as a manager, I always fought for my staff to get higher wage. But I know the frontline staff is the backbone of that, of down there, and we should really take a hard look to make sure we are paying them a better wage, because they do a lot of work down there, you know. And for HR issue, even though I am working in HR, I understand that, you know, they are, you know, the tribe and the casino are two separate entities. And having staff available for the casino during their operational hours is crucial. So that's the one thing I hope we'll be able to resolve, to try to get HR, you know, personnel back down to the casino where they're a lot more accessible. So, you know, a lot of productivity from the manager standpoint, the supervisor standpoint, is not lost.
Thanks, Jonathan. Brent, did you want to go next? Sure. Yeah.
So, Lou, as you know, I'm elder now, and I spend most of my time with all my little babies, so I'm not familiar with your study. But I can speak to my experience down there. You know, when I was a supervisor at the casino, what I noticed is that we had a lot of really, really dedicated people who love their jobs and love the fact that they work at Spirit Mountain Casino, and even more love the fact that they work for an Indian tribe. They're proud of that. But I know that they struggle because, you know, they're not making the same wages that other people are making in similar jobs. I know when I was on the board of directors at the casino, you know, at that time it was a much different makeup of a board. The fellow board members that I was with were more concerned about, you know, imported teakwood kitchen cabinets and things like that for their homes than they were about family compensation studies and, you know, health packages for the employees and things like that. We were literally training the staffs of most of the casinos in Oregon and Washington. People were coming here, getting their training, getting their experience, and then going to other places because they could make more money. So, so I'm glad to see that change, but I think that we have to, as long as that's our cash cow, we have to be more considerate of the people who work there, the frontline folks that work there. And, you know, my son is a supervisor down there as well. And, you know, he comes home sometimes and he's a kid, and he's tired, you know, and I'm like, you're a kid, why are you tired, you know? And what he has to deal with is, you know, being in a department that the upper management above him doesn't believe that they should fill open positions. You know, they just save money by attrition. And so he's having to work, you know, these extra jobs and find people to work these extra hours, and you know, and it's tough for them. So it's not an easy situation, but I do want to say that my experience down there was that people are really dedicated. They really care about their jobs, and they're proud to work there, and we need to make sure that they continue to feel that way.
Thanks, Brad. Victor, you want to go next? Then on Cheryl.
Well, I also agree, you know, that I say no on, because there's not enough compensation for the workers. You know, one of the greatest was, I think, as I worked in a casino for a little over 5 years, you know, and one of the greatest complaints that I heard throughout you know, was right at the end there, was, under the new management, they was cutting hours, you know, and that's, you know, I was a blackjack dealer, and they'd send you home early whether you wanted to or not, you know, so a lot of the dealers were quitting. They was going to other casinos because they could not get their 80 hours in, you know, and they're living by that standard. When you start taking from them, well, then they can't pay their bills, or do they live under the standards that they had. So I say give them back their hours and try and figure out a better way to make a profit. Give them back their hours, and give them something that that they can look forward to, and that's a full paycheck. Nobody wants just a part of a paycheck. I sure don't. When I put in my week where I'm at now, I enjoy that full paycheck. And there's too many of them that's leaving out because they're not receiving it. And the other places, like my wife, she worked in the EPS, and I said, boy, there was not enough money they could pay me to work in that area. I'm telling you, that was some of the roughest areas to work in. Them people should have been paid a whole lot more than what they were getting. And as far as the HR is concerned, yeah, I agree with Christine. There should be someone there 24/7, someone that you can talk to. There's been a lot of issues come up after 5 o'clock, and there should be someone there to listen to them, listen to the complaints.
Thanks, Victor. Good answers. All right, sure, I'll give you this one.
Thank you. Thank you for the question, Lou. Appreciate it. For the simple answer first, no, I do not agree with the compensation study. I've always been an advocate for living wage, even before, we're where we are at right now. Grand Ronde is at the stage of competition, and this is an economic question. And the economic question for the tribe is, do your expenses continue to increase as revenues decrease? How that affects the tribe then is if we continue with that methodology and that path, it results in less funds that are passed over to the tribe. Less money to provide services with, less money for per capita, less money for all of these opportunities that tribal members have. So for all of the candidates who are running for council, those are the kind of tough decisions that you have to make. I support a living wage, knowing full well that they will be greatly reduced services, probably in per capita, because we will continue to provide health, education, housing, and those services. But per capita is where there would be a decrease. So that's the serious question when this is asked. As far as HR and where, if it was a good decision to merge HR, I do believe that it was a good decision, but again, we are going to do an audit. As far as the range or scope of service that a HR specialist can handle, there are many studies. And I know that when we merged, there was a huge decrease in the overall number of FT or full-time equivalent employees in HR. The span of service that you have to do an effective job for Grand Ronde is very small. So that in itself results in having less availability, less coverage during the hours that you need it. And I do believe that that's something that the audit will demonstrate. So I appreciate the question, Lou.
Thank you. So Lou's asked for just a moment to make a quick statement, and then we'll go. You want to? You have a question next? Okay, we'll go to Ren next after this quick. Okay, so we'll go Veronica since she's lined up, then we'll go to Ren. Okay.
I gave you the mic twice, General Counsel. You can give it to me once. Just real quick, we lost 4 employees when they merged. That's not a lot. You want a compensation study? Here's a compensation study. My graveyard shift down there right now, for what they do in environmental services, makes $3 an hour less than your day shift environmental services at the tribe. $3 an hour less. Now, I'm trying to figure out, because I was a director of public works, or manager of public works, or some position in public works. Can't remember, I don't think I ever decided. I ran the departments down here, and I know what they do for a living. I know how hard they work. Okay? I need you as a tribal council to justify $3 an hour to me for the difference in labor. That's all I'm asking for. I don't think you can do it.
Thanks, Lou. So Veronica.
Veronica Gasson, number 2332. I'm proud to be living out here in Grand Ronde. It's been my dream to live out here in Grand Ronde. And I noticed there is a lot of stuff for the kids all the way up to the age of 18, then nothing until I become an elder. And to me, that's not right. I think there should be stuff for all ages. Yeah, you can say, oh yeah, there's powwow, there's first foods, but the kids, they have wonderful outings. I've seen them. And the elders, they have wonderful outings. But when you're my age, I still got another 5 years and 7 months before I'm an elder. And I've had people say around my age and in the 30s, boy, I wish I was an elder, I'd have something to do. There is nothing for us. Yeah, you might have stuff at the plank house, but there's no transportation. And there's a lot of us who don't have a car and can't get there. What would you guys do to make sure that there is stuff for people my age, maybe in their 20s and 30s, so that we can all be a family, all have something to do? I saw where you guys had the outing to New York to go see the meteorite. That's been my dream, to go see that. I think that should be open to everybody, just not the kids and the elders, because I had some people say, well, Veronica, you'll be an elder. I said, yeah, I still got 5 years, 7 months to go before I'm an elder. I think that would be something, maybe people could submit applications, and then everybody can have a chance to go. So I hope you guys do get something for people my age, because there is nothing. And I don't feel part of this tribe when I can't go out and do an outing because there is nothing for me right now. So maybe you need to work on getting stuff for everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, Veronica. So let me turn that into a question. So you as a candidate, if you were elected, what would you do to provide, what would be some ideas of providing social events, cultural events for adults? So that span between 18 and 55, what would y'all do? So let's go Christina first, and then we'll go Steve, and then we'll go to Brent.
I had this conversation with Veronica already, and basically, what she can correct me if I'm wrong, the age group that she's concerned about is 18 to 54. I believe that when we are doing tribal events and stuff, there should be a way to possibly help with transportation. I'm not quite sure what that would look like, but I don't think that, most people can get to somewhere in housing for pickup or possibly over to the community center, and maybe you do 2 trips up, depending on how many people want to go prior to the event, and then 2 trips home after. We have plenty of shuttles and vans and different things that we could possibly use for that. And as far as some of these bigger trips that people go on, I see a lot of the same chaperones going. And I'm not quite sure if there's a sign up for that or if it's just certain people are expected to go on some of these trips, but maybe a way to get some of these people involved would be to have a small sign up for a certain amount of chaperones to go, because honestly, a lot of people can't always go that have children that want to go and stuff, and so maybe have a way to have a sign up for that, and if there already is one, and so many people aren't aware of it, then maybe find a way to get that out to the membership. And that would give opportunities for different members to go and attend some of these events, but also help while they're doing it. I'm sure there's a lot more situations or ideas that we could come up with, but I think for a quick fix, that's something that should definitely be looked at.
Thanks, Christina. Steve?
Yeah, things for elders. And I absolutely agree, because I'm going to be 70 years old, so I'm one of them elders that is always looking for stuff to do. But luckily, I'm able to do that. And you know, as an elder, when you start getting older, you need to keep moving, you need to keep doing stuff. You still have to, just to maintain health. You can't just sit. You have to be able to get up and do something. So, you know, we need to take care of these people who want to and have the ability to be able to still get around. But I would think the first thing you would have to do is this age group in which you're referring to, up to 50-some years old, is that we need to find out exactly what it is they would like to do. What would they want to see? Where would they want to go? So I guess you would try to get some sort of survey together, and it seems like we do that all the time, surveys on everything from A to Z. But we need to find out, yeah, what is it that they want to do, and then start trying to delve into how we're going to make that happen. Whether it be transportation, whether it be sign-up lists. You know, the sign-up list, you know, I'm not really a fan of that either, because it usually winds up being X amount of people. Most people don't get to go, they're left out. And things like this trip to New York, I've never really been on board with that, because I don't know how many people have went repeatedly. They have went over and over and over, leaving people out that would really like to go. I think it's a pretty costly move to send, I don't know how many people over there. It's got to cost the tribes, you know, $20,000, I don't know. But that's a lot of money. You know, and I guess I get it, you know, it's the mediator. I don't remember the mediator when I was a kid being any kind of a big deal, but it certainly is now. But we do need to find out from these people in this group what it is they want to do. Then we can start figuring out how we're going to make that happen. Thanks.
Thanks, Steve. Let's go to Brent.
Yeah, that's a tough it's a tough question, but it is a good question because, you know, it's clear that there are some clubs, you know, in Grand Ronde that, you know, the New York thing is definitely been a club. There's some cultural events that are definitely the same people all the time, no matter who wants to be part of that. So I can see where that might get frustrating. I was always fortunate to be a journalist and be covering the events, so I had access to those events. So I didn't have to experience what Veronica, you know, experiences. But I'm really open to the idea of providing transportation because that's something we can do. That's something that that doesn't seem like a very hard fix. So I'm on board with. You know, you being able to get transported to these events that you want to participate in, especially when you're really clear about it, when you go to council meetings and you stand up and have the courage to say, hey, I want to go, I'd like to be there. So a lot of people don't even do that much. They just grumble about it behind the scenes. They're not standing up and saying, hey, I really want to be there. So I think that's the first step is, like Steve just said, you know, you got to know what people want. So I guess one of the ways I would handle that would be to try to find out, if I were in that position, I would try to sit down with you and find out which events you're most concerned with or most, you know, would be ideal for you to participate in, and then figure out some tangible ways to get you there so that you could feel part of that. And I also think that, you know, there's just a fundamental gap between a certain age group. You know, I grew up real close with my cousin Keith, and we're about the same age. And he used to say all the time he couldn't wait to be a tribal elder, you know, because of all these things that were coming his way. And I'd be like, I'm trying to hold that off and be as young as I can for as long as I can, you know. So I guess the point of that is that, you know, there are these things that are available to the elders, and you know, now that I've finally reached that age and accepted that I'm that age, you know, I'm enjoying those benefits, and so I'm happy to, you know, to have that, but I also understand the struggle right before you reach that point, you know. So I don't think you know, transportation to these events should be a big deal, and I don't think it should be a big, you know, we have these advocates all throughout the tribe and all kinds of programs. I don't see why somebody couldn't come sit down with you and, you know, and kind of map out a, you know, a couple of things on your event calendar that you'd like to be, you know, part of, and see if you couldn't be helped to get to those events. And folks that are in the same position do the same thing for them.
Thanks, Brent. So we're going to go over to John, then Peter, and then back to Brenda. And then Cheryl.
Thank you. I'll talk quick. Well, thank you, Veronica, for that question. You know, and what came to my mind took me back to my childhood. As I was here, and the opportunity that my dad would visit my great-grandparents, my aunties and uncles, and so too. And so what came to me is that our children need our elders, and our elders also need our children. And by learning together and by sitting together, like when elders have activities, I think I know I bake today because of visiting Auntie Vern when I was growing up, or being at Grandma and Grandpa Bob's house up the road here as a child there, going there. They were the influences in my life. And I think sometimes we hear some of the negative connotations about our children not being respectful, talking back to their parents and so too. I would have never thought of ever doing that as a child. And so I think when the two generations combine together and sit together and learn together, from them, then they get to learn. They get to hear about the old ways, but then the elders get to hear about what do our children also want now for the future and today also. If I hadn't hung out with my elders and such too, I probably wouldn't be baking today. I probably wouldn't have hunted. I wouldn't know how to skin a deer. So those are the types of things. I probably wouldn't be as respectful as I am, and I probably wouldn't have been interested in my culture if I hadn't hung out with my elders and to visit them, to speak with them, and sometimes just to sit and listen to them. I think that's very important for today in those activities like that. As we create the old quilting circles, being with the men in the barn, being outside, or working on the cars, the gatherings and so too. I think what it was is that everybody raised each other. I have so many aunties and uncles that made sure I stayed in line, and it didn't matter if they were relative or not. I thank you for that, and I see that generation together.
Thank you. Let's go down to Peter, and then we'll come back to Rick.
I'd like to start with saying that yes, we do amazing things for the elders and kids. I do agree that there's kind of that lost generation in the middle that doesn't get to do a lot of those things. There's maybe some ideas like with the New York trip, maybe set aside certain spots for certain ages. So you're still getting an elder and a child and a middle-aged person. I agree with Steve of the survey, and I agree that we can do a lot of surveys. But it's find out what people want to do. Because the worst thing you can do is just guess or waste the time and money finding out that okay they didn't want to go to that. And is it tribal events they want to go to, or is it community events they want to go to? Is it just what they want to go to? One thing that I definitely agree with that it would be nice, because you have a lot of elders that don't drive, and just a lot of people in general that don't drive, that it would be very nice to have a shuttle service, especially during powwows, and to community events and to tribal council meetings. We have a lot of tribal vehicles. We have shuttles that aren't always being used 24/7 down at the casino. There's, you pay a little overtime to somebody to drive. I think we could definitely do better at getting people to these events that they want to go to. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. Let's come down here to Brenda, and then we'll go to Cheryl.
Thank you for the question, Veronica. I think what I would suggest to you is to create a question. Next year, when we start the advisory process, participate and create a question that we can send out to the tribal members, and they can all vote on what might be done. I get the sense, I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong, I get the sense your question was, or your concern was more about transportation. Because as I thought through what is there to do for community members, I came up with so much. The family night out, powwows, first foods, the education celebration, volunteering for committees, volunteering at the food bank, chaperones for the meteorite trip. That might be a way for you to be able to do that. Chaperones for the youth council trips, community garden volunteering, chaperones for the elders trips when they go to the concerts. Sometimes some of them need transportation back down or just a friend. Float construction. There's all kinds of opportunities. So I'm wondering if maybe we wouldn't just address the transportation issue for you. I would also recommend that maybe you could create a book club in housing where people can meet and read books and talk about that. That you could create an advisory council, a community advisory council in housing. There's all kinds of things that we do, but maybe we do need to help you with transportation.
Thanks. Let's go to Cheryl right here.
Thank you, Veronica, for the question. As I was sitting here thinking about that, you know, the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde has experienced more hardship than most tribes in the United States because of termination. So when termination happened, I was one who was terminated. Our peoples went all over where they could work, where they could raise their families, where they could have opportunities. And for us, I know we were back here many times. We never did forget. We were always Grand Ronde Indians, even though we were terminated. But the effects of termination really scattered families to the four winds and all over the world. So sometimes we do have families here who do not have close relatives and your family that you rely upon is really a cultural norm, and that means that we take the responsibility of seeing that our cousin who doesn't have, you know, transportation or doesn't have the advantages of maybe some of the other family members might have, to check in on them and to see that they're able to have a ride and to participate in family gatherings, but also cultural functions. So it's just a reminder to me that termination is still having its effects, and it's something that we have to work on constantly. The other thing is that in the age group that was mentioned, that's generally the working age or the college age work for our adult people. Oftentimes, you're so used up by just those kind of activities and raising your family, there's not a lot left over for you to go to things. But if you live here at Grand Ronde, we know there is not any kind of social functions aside from what the tribe does. So there aren't any movie theaters, there aren't any, well, we have great restaurants here at Spirit Mountain, but other venues like that where you can socialize and meet with your friends, because there are none here. So that's the question, and that's what I know that the tribal councils through the years have grappled with. What do we bring here that will meet the needs of families? That's basically been the premise. We have many single people who are adults. And so how do we bridge that gap? And I agree. I think that age group and that population does need to be surveyed to ask, what is it we can do for you? And how can we partner together? So appreciate your question.
Thanks, Cheryl. Victor or Jonathan? Jonathan, we'll go Jonathan and then Victor.
Thanks for that question. Yeah, that's me being part of that age group right now too. It's kind of hard to know exactly what everybody would like to do. I mean, understandable. You know, everybody's been touched on. There's it could be transportation issues. The chaperone. If they rotate the chaperones, make sure everybody has a chance to go to some of these events, chaperoning, if that's what you choose to do. They should do that. That way it's not always the same people going all the time. So we can look into that. As Cheryl touched on, that age group, majority of us work and we don't have a lot of time to do other things, tied up with family, but again, the ones who do have that spare time and want to be involved and want to go to these trips, we have to find out exactly what you guys want. So we're just not spinning our wheels trying to do things that nobody else wants to do. So again, that's what I'd like to look into.
Thanks, Jonathan. Victor?
Okay, I'd like to thank Veronica also. I know where she stands at there. I know a lot of people, without driver's license, no way around and all that stuff, but, I was thinking as people were talking, the riser there, we've got plenty of vehicles. And I think, listen to the elders, everybody's been down to the elders probably a few times, but they have a list down there that they make of the things they're gonna do as a sign-up list, and I think that's what, the 18 to 54 should do. Set them a list up and see how many sign up and go from there, for a ride on whatever activity they decided to go out on. I really believe the tribe can make it happen, but it's just getting the people involved and getting that list and getting somebody lined up to drive for them. I believe that is one of the better solutions. Get the list going and see how many would get involved and make the way possible.
Thank you, Victor. All right, Ren.
I know we're running out of time here because I think we all need to get back to powwow, but kind of getting away from the almighty dollar questions for the incumbents and for the council that will be there. And I understand the almighty dollar because I was a logger for 25 years before I ever got on council, so I know what it is to live from payday to payday with and without money. My question's more dear to me than anything, and I'm glad Cheryl mentioned termination. I think I was talking to Steve yesterday, and there's probably very few here that were on that termination roll, because I think there's less than probably 300 of us now that were on that termination roll. But right now there's an ordinance out there for first reading, and hopefully people will be commenting on it. And realistically, it is going to allow, the ordinance will allow council to reinstate, or whatever fancy word they want to put on it, reinstate, re-enroll, enroll, whatever. But ever since 1983, the criteria for enrollment has been in the hands of the people, not in the hands of council. And even prior to that, it was in the hands of the people. So my question for not only the incumbents, and I know you guys have got a lot on your table with this issue, you will have to vote on it by the end of the month. For the ones who are up for election, do you believe it should stay in the hands of the people, or do you believe an ordinance, which can be overturned by another council a year from now, is the way to go for this tribe? Is that a good decision for this tribe or not? And I'd like to have a simple yes and no with your answers.
Okay, so we'll start with Steve, and then Jonathan, and we'll go Cheryl. Do folks need to paraphrase the question? Everybody got the question? Did everybody get the question all right?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, go ahead.
Dump your water here. Yeah, this enrollment thing that we've been struggling back and forth with since the time that I was on council. I was brought forward mainly by a lot of the membership who wanted us to do an audit on enrollment. We waded into it with a little apprehension, I'm sure, for everybody, about what was opening the door in, and it just kind of developed to where we are today. But ordinances, I'm sure that most people know that that's a temporary fix. Ordinance is not a resolution. And I am not really on board with that because of the fact that it can be overturned again by a new council that come in. So you'd be putting people on, potentially taking them back off. That puts them, I believe, in a pretty bad spot to do that. So I am absolutely not on board with this ordinance that seems to be kind of on the table or in play at this moment. Dealing with people and this enrollment sort of debacle that we've got ourselves into has certainly opened a pretty serious wound on both sides. But we have to remember that they are people, and they do, you know, they do need to be cared for, and their situation looked at very carefully. But doing it in this fashion that could go back and forth for them, I don't think is a very good idea. So I would certainly not be on board with that process that's currently being talked about. And I hope that at some point here we can get where we get past this enrollment thing, get it fixed, get all the processes that are been in play for, like I say, a decade with the split families and those things, and get all that stuff fixed, and then try at that point to leave it alone, because every time you go another direction, opens more wounds, causes lots of frustration across the board with everybody. And I just think it's causing lots and lots of pain and grief with the people in this tribe, in this community. And I want to see it fixed. I want to see it left alone at that point, instead of reopening and digging the hole deeper and deeper and deeper. But I'm absolutely against the ordinance in play today.
Thanks, Steve. Let's go to Jonathan. All the hands down there, so let's just go down the line this way, because everybody's hand went down.
Okay, yeah, I disagree with the enrollments also. The ordinance, again, like as Steve said, it can change from council to council, and it's, you know, I just don't think it'd be a great idea. We need a permanent fix to address the split family, and it should be a simple fix. I mean, it's been 10 years, you know, going on 10 years now, that the 99 enrollment issue happened. So I think that 20, sorry, thanks. I didn't think that would be too long. So yeah, almost 20 years, you know. So you know, we should, you know, find the, you know, get it fixed, get these families healed. You know, that help, in turn helps heal the tribe, and we can move on and don't mess with it anymore. So
thanks, John. Peter.
Thank you. I agree that it should stay in the hands of the membership. And as Steve, and I think a lot of us will agree with that, it has the ability to just be continually changed back and forth, depending on what council, whatever council wants at the time. And you're going to get different councils at different times that agree with different issues, but if you leave it in the hand of the membership, you know, we need to finish this. The audit process, I realize the audit's done, but the audit process needs to be done. You know, it needs to be said, you know, who's there. We just continue to reopen this wound and reopen this wound. And it just, it just needs to be finished. You know, one of the things that, you know, I said in my statement is that, you know, split families definitely need to be fixed. That's one of the things I would like to see brought forward with, you know, siblings by themselves, to start with something that everybody can agree on, fix one issue so we can move on to the next. We need to make it clear. I think it gets bundled. It comes out in how it's going to be in the Constitution, which people can't always follow or understand, and just definitely needs to stay in the hands of the membership.
Christina.
I also am completely against this. We have so many issues in the past that need to be addressed and taken care of first. Pretty much everybody here is for fixing the split families and all of the prior issues that we had before we move on and create new issues. Enrollment should stay in the hands of the people. We don't want to keep reopening this wound. Things need to heal, and we need to get this done and over with and let people heal and move on. This is causing the division within our tribe is just horrendous. We need to start with the first mistake before we continue to make more. We need to get this handled.
Thanks, Christina. Victor, do you want to go next?
Yes, I also agree. This should be left to the membership. You know, I know it's caused a great division among the people, but I believe it's a serious thing, and that it should take the whole tribe to come together to agree on what's going on. You know, it shouldn't be left in the hands of just 3 to 5 people. It should be, the whole membership should be involved in it. But I'm thinking, you know, we need to get back together and start agreeing on better things. You know, this has been brought up so many times. I think that needs to be laid down and left in the membership's hands.
Peter, Brent?
So yeah, to be clear then, my answer is yes. I think that anytime you give up sovereignty, you're making a mistake, and that's the first way to give up sovereignty, is to take the decision-making out of the hands of the people. So I think that we definitely need to keep that issue and others of importance like that in the hands of the folks who make up the tribe. As I move forward in my campaign, I want people to know that, you know, I'm one of those guys who wants to get things done, and it can get as simple as it needs to. You know, split families is my top priority going into this. I want to see this, resolved. I want to be part of the leadership that gets this resolved once and for all. And even if it means bringing each family forward on a case-by-case basis. I know of a family where, the 2 children, the one, he grew up and, he's able to go to college, and his sister, who's literally 2 years behind him, is not. And so I would like to see these families come forward case by case and have them just have this resolved, in that way. That has to be done. And even if it's just something as simple as having them come forward, present their case, and have, the courts and the council work together to get this resolved, it's got to be done once and for all. So I'd like to see that happen, and I think the other thing it brings forward is, we need to have more advisory type votes in the future. We need to get the opinion of the membership, more and more and more as we move forward. We can't be afraid as leadership to be trying to find out what the people think and how they feel and why they feel that way, and and incorporating that into our decision making. So those are some things I think are important.
Brenda.
Funny you should mention advisory votes. We have one coming out with the ballot. We had one last year. This is very frustrating. It started in 1999. We hear we need to fix this. We hear it's a simple fix. We hear leave it alone. We hear all kinds of things. So it's not a simple fix. And what I'm going to go back to is what I mentioned in the beginning. We need to have hearts of peace, not hearts of war. We need to be considerate of all of our tribal members. And we do need to fix this, but it's not simple. It's about coming to the table. It's about everybody sitting down and coming up with a workable solution. I don't believe this ordinance and the change in the ordinance takes this decision out of the hands of the people. We are not changing the Constitution. To do that would require a vote of the tribal members. So we are not taking it out of their hands. I think I heard up here something about we need to fix the first mistake. Well, I think there was more than one mistake. It was done all at once. There's more than one mistake. So I am committed to healing these split families, but we have to do it together. The Tribal Council has put out several opportunities to do that. And we see that it's up to the tribal members because they're the ones that aren't passing it for several reasons. It could be education. We're working really hard to provide education for this next advisory vote. So I really hope that tribal members will get engaged in this. Please read the decision on the court case. Please gather as much knowledge as you can, because it really is each and every one of our responsibility to fix this.
Thanks, Brenda. John?
As a tribal council and the leader of the membership, this is what I talk about making decisions that may not be popular with everybody. And they're hard decisions, but I also look at it as a fair and equitable decision that we have to make. Yes, it will take more than 5 people to make this. I think there's support for this, and it seems kind of odd that we talk about how we want to heal our tribe, how we want to not create division amongst this tribal council, but I think as we sit here and listen today, there seems to still be division amongst, if these people, depending on who gets re-elected or elected here. And so I think it's important that when we do become together and make a good decision for this tribe and a fair and equitable decision for this tribe, that is where it will come down to. And I really feel that, the powers were given to the tribal council, and as leaders of this tribe, the people who elect us are the ones that believe that we will administer our powers in a fair and equitable way for all membership here. And so upon that, I think, that if councils change, ordinances can change, because that's a decision of that standing council at that time. And so I think right now and today, as our members look at it, look at our council today, I think that they really do feel, I think that we are fair, and that we have come together to make decisions that are good and fair and doing the right thing. So, thank you.
Thanks, John. Cheryl?
Thank you. Well, the powers of the tribal council are to conduct the business of the tribe, to make the tough decisions, to analyze the situations, and to come forward with fixes but to present the information to the members. All of our tribal members have the opportunity to comment on the ordinance. It's out for first reading, as Ren said. We look forward to hearing from you, whether you agree or not. If you can fine-tune it, whatever language you have, we're open to that. The ordinance was put forward in the spirit of fairness. And so I stand behind that. I do believe that it is a way for us to move forward, for healing to continue, to have a separate class of people who have gone through the same thing, to not be allowed to be re-enrolled is not fair. And so just on its face itself, that's my opinion about that. So for getting the input from our members, I'm very pleased to hear that the majority of those sitting up here today say they want healing for split families. That's an advisory vote that's coming forward in September. I'll be very pleased to see that that's enacted and that the split families will be healed, whereby all of the children who are affected will be placed back on the roll. So for me, I believe that the way that healing to occur is to take care of these situations, to do so as quickly as we can, and to be able to embrace all of our tribal members that we know share the blood that flows through all of our veins. So I firmly believe in it, and I do want people to remember, put your comments in, vote in September on the advisory votes, and hopefully we'll all be joyful at the end of that vote. So thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to do a quick logistics check. I was planning on going until 12:30. Christina just let me know she needs to run at 12. So Christina, I don't know, can you give us a few minutes at all, or do you really need to leave at noon? Can you give us?
I'm cooking the entire meal for the powwow by myself.
Right, and you need to start at noon, or can you start at 12:30? Would that be too?
I need to start at noon.
You need to start at noon. Okay, so why don't we give Christina a few minutes to kind of do your closing statement, if you will. Typically, we have a closing statement for everybody. So I apologize to everybody else. So what we'll go ahead and do is start our closing statements. That way Christina can get out of here after she closes. If you have questions for next week, again, next week we'll be in Portland. If you can't make Portland, you can leave the questions for me and I'll ask them, and you can watch it on the video. But next week, next Saturday, 11 a.m. at NAYA, Native American Youth and Family Association on Columbia Boulevard is where we'll have the next forum. So Christina, if you can get a mic and go ahead and give us your closing statement, we'll start with you, and then you can go ahead and sneak out after that.
All right. First, let me apologize. This kind of got thrown in my lap at the last minute, so I apologize, but I do need to make sure that people at the powwow eat. They'd be very upset if food's not there and ready on time. You know, as I said in my opening statement, there's a lot of things that are, you know, very important to me as far as our history, our future, economic development, protecting our investments, and trying to find a way to come together as a tribe and fix this division. It's terrible. A lot of people who have been friends for a lot of years are no longer seeing eye to eye, and you know, there's a lot of issues that we need to fix and move forward. And I would like to be a part of that. I want to be involved in my community and start being part of the solution, not part of the problem. I would ask that anybody who would want come have a chat with me. If anybody would like my information before I go, I'm more than willing to give that. And I just ask for your support moving forward, and please feel free to contact me at any time. I'm willing to have any chats that need to be taking place. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Christina. And thank you for cooking the meal at the powwow. We'll let you go. So let's go ahead and do the other closing statements, and we'll go ahead and start with Steve, if that's all right, and we'll just work our way all the way back down here.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Yeah, I got a funeral to run to over in Sheridan, a longtime community member who's non-tribal, but worked with this tribe for years and years and years, and everybody who grew up here knows him. A good man, helped out with the Veterans Committee, helped out with the Rodeo Committee, and not even tribal. So that's the love of some of the people in this community for this tribe. So, my reason for running for council, nearing 70 years old, been retired for 5 years. Why would you want to jump in the fire again? And that's what it is. You know, these people might not, they'll say, oh, no, no, no. Yes, it is. You're jumping into the fire. You're opening yourself up for ridicule, for name calling, and everything else from A to Z. Trust me, I've been in that seat before. It's not fun. But my great kids and my grandkids, they go, are you out of your mind? What are you doing? But
go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
Okay.
I think you started somebody else. Go ahead.
Okay. But I see things, like I said, Grand Ronde was a whole different place until we had stuff. And it seems like when you have stuff, people start doing crazy things. They do. When there's something to be had, people start doing crazy things, and they become people that they might not normally be when there's something on the line. So now we've got to where we are today. Division. Division amongst people. Arguing and fighting all the time. So, no, I don't have to jump into the fire. Absolutely do not. But I can hear my grandfather in the background, and I don't know how many people here know my grandfather other than Johnny. Down here, a leader in this community, a leader in this tribe, and a leader in this church even, where we're sitting right here today. And I can hear his voice in the background. Get up or shut up. So if something's wrong, then do something about it. That's why I'm jumping back in the fire. So I'm going to have to head out because I've got to go to Sheridan. So thank everybody for being here. I would like to see a lot more people because they need to get involved in this tribe. They need to be involved. Where are they? We need to start getting on board, making them vote, making them do the things that they should do to support this tribe when they're getting so much back from it. Thank you.
So thanks, Steve. Go ahead, Jonathan.
I want to thank everybody who showed up today, and thanks for Brian for hosting this. The reason why I'm running is, the split family issue. I'd like to be part of the solution, help try to heal this economic development, and to move forward, to bring ideas that try to bring some more diversity, to the tribe, so we can not rely just on the casino. And community development. This is we only got so much stuff here to do. We don't got everybody talks about. I've been hearing how do we bring back our college graduates? What do we have to offer them to come here instead of Salem, Portland, Eugene? Is it the jobs? Is it housing? Is it what is it that's not making them come back? To the community and giving give them back. After they got they worked so hard to get their education. So that's the reasons why I'm running. And again, I'd like to thank everybody that showed up today.
Thanks, John. Peter.
I'd also like to start with thanking everybody that came today and putting yourself out there like this. I can attest to setting up here now. It's very scary. Thank Brian for setting this up. Again, as I kind of said in my opening, is we have one or two major divisions that really need to be fixed, and so that a lot of time is being spent on it, and a lot of hurt feelings, and a lot of we really just need to fix these couple of issues so we can move on to other issues that are every bit as important, and so we're not stagnant, we're not moving forward, we're not doing economic development. I really just want to help bring people back together. I've seen times where we were a happy, cohesive group, and the amazing things that we've done, and I would just like to get back to that. To kind of follow Tina, I'm old school that I like to sit down and talk with people. So anybody that wants to contact me, you can give me your information afterwards. Love to sit down and talk with you. And if you feel like I'm somebody that you can support, I appreciate it, and just thank you to everybody, and good luck to everybody.
Thanks, Peter. Victor.
All right, I'd like to also thank everybody that showed up. I only got a short notice. I'm not a Facebook person, so I just found out at the last minute what was going on, but I'm glad to be here, glad to hear all the comments. I'm a true believer that it's time to make another step, move up, and I was a roofer all my life, and the only way I can move up is get on the roof with one step at a time. So it's time to take another step. Let's move up and get things going, get the people back on track, get them joined back together, and get ourselves back together and reunite as one. I'm a true believer also in the economics. Like I said, I was a roofer all my life, but I can look around and I've talked to a lot of people, and we're really still short on housing, and I would love to see that pushed a little faster into motion. Got a lot of people on the list, a lot of complaints, but the thing is, they just got to learn to wait, but I think we can get that underway. So anyway, I'm just thankful to be here and hoping for some more opportunities to talk to the people.
Thanks, Victor. Brett.
Okay, so yeah, in conclusion, and like I said in my earlier statement, I want to be a part of the leadership group that, finally resolves this issue with the split families, even if it means, like I said, case-by-case basis, where they just come forward and, and say, look, my son is allowed to go to college and my daughter isn't. If it's as simple as that, that can be solved, and I want to be part of the group that solves that once and for all. Any of you that know me, if you know me, you know that things I've been involved with in the past have been big, and I want to continue to do that as a leader. You know, I almost landed a baseball team in Portland. I sat in the mayor's office until, you know, until the final hours of almost landing the Montreal Expos, you know, here in Portland. I came within probably 72 hours of landing a NASCAR track at Warm Springs. I've you know, been involved with the Portland Winterhawks for a long time. I've been involved with the Trailblazers, the Timbers. You know, those are things that I think that we as a tribe need to start looking at some of those unique opportunities that face us as a sovereign nation. You know, one of our past council members sort of infamously said once that, you know, the tribe is not a money tree. Well, I couldn't disagree more with that. And what I'm saying is that we have a unique opportunity as a sovereign nation to take advantage of economic development opportunities that are not available to other entities in the state. And I think we should do that. And I don't think we should be afraid to do that. And I think we need to seriously consider not just saying the words, we can't rely on the casino forever. I think we just need to know that we can't always rely on the casino forever. And we have to look at something big in order to replace that. Otherwise, per cap does go away, just like Cheryl said. You know, if these issues aren't resolved on a program-by-program basis, then that's where the inevitable cuts have to come. And I want to work towards keeping that from happening. Not because I'm about money, but because I'm about the prosperity of the tribe and the people and our future generations that are coming. I want them to be able to pick the fruits of our labor. I want them to be able to know that we thought they were important and that we thought about them at times like this. So that's one of the things I want to see happen. I've been involved with the tribe for a long time. I was excited about my job when I worked here, always, and I'm excited about the opportunities that we have in the future, and I want to just take that excitement and roll forward and get some things done and work hard. So that's my plan. Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
I too want to thank you all for coming. I'm so excited when tribal members participate. I look forward to more tribal member engagement. For me, one of the most important things is personal accountability. That is high up on my list of what I can do for the tribe. I am committed to this community. My family is committed to this community. I'm almost jealous of my husband. He gets to work in the community garden. He gets to work at the food bank. He helps elders with their yard work. I'm kind of jealous of that. I'm committed to bringing this community back together. I'm committed to being the best tribal council member that I can be. I am invested in this community and the future. We have often heard that tribal council has their own personal agendas they work by. And I had a conversation with a tribal member not too long ago, and he said, why don't you just admit it? So I'm going to admit that to you. I do have an agenda. And part of my agenda is to get the tribe to join together in a spirit of collaboration and find a solution for our split families. I am committed to come to the table, to listen with an open mind, an open heart, but I want this to be fixed. We have tribal members who have been waiting since 1999. That's a horrible, life-changing, family-changing event for some of our tribal members. Another piece of my agenda is to reestablish our economic development department. It's tough. We're working really hard, and we're working to find the right person for that to lead us in the right direction with the expertise that we need to prevent us from making the mistakes we made in the past. Another part of my agenda is creating a safe environment for our employees, one where they feel confident to use their expertise to advise tribal council, because that's what we're there for. That's what they're there for. Tribal council doesn't know everything. We have these employees so they can do their job and guide us. I'm also very interested in tribal member engagement. I'm not really sure how to do that. We've discussed it over and over. I've talked about maybe creating a tribal, Grand Ronde tribe 101 class where we could send out short documents or in the smoke signals do articles. They grab the interest of our tribal members, and then they say, oh, I didn't know my tribe did that, or I don't know about this, and it kind of pulls them in, gets them more engaged. I want to encourage tribal members to seek out their elders and learn about the community. I also want to encourage elders to be kind. Be kind and share your knowledge in a way that our younger generations want to learn. Don't shut them down. Don't shut them down. Encourage them and share your stories. So again, I appreciate everyone coming today. I appreciate the questions. And as I've said in the past, it is my sincere desire to serve another term. I'm excited. My feet are on the ground. I'm ready to go. So I would appreciate any support. Thank you.
John.
Again, thank you all for the ones that have hung out with us today and stuck with us this morning. I appreciate it. I think I'm going to give you a first here. You're the first ones here. I wrote my tribal council letter that was submitted to our Wawa, and so this will help me keep on track in time here too, because as everyone knows, I do love to talk. I love to have conversations, and so I worked for 21 years for the tribe, 7 years at our adolescent treatment center in Kaiser called Nana Sahali, and then I worked 14 years as a vocational rehabilitation specialist here for the tribe. And so I work closely with members with disabilities, assisting with social services and learning to understand their needs as Native individuals, along with finding employment and educational opportunities. I believe this experience gave me insight into the needs of our membership. In 2012, I ran for council and was elected my first run. Fast forward 6 years, and 2 terms later, I am seeking re-election because I believe I have so much more to do for our membership. The momentum of this current council and what we can achieve together in these coming years looks promising for the future of our membership. What I bring to the table is integrity as a man of my word, and a belief in living a culture of honor. We all have ideas, but the better we work as a team, the more we will achieve. I believe in a collective effort with mutual respect. It's not about getting my way, but more about what is best for our membership. I can listen and share different perspectives. What I bring individually is an asset to Tribal Council. I am a cultural man. My heritage as a Native person gives me identity and purpose. I grew up in a time where being Native had negative connotations, and now I'm encouraged to say I am Grand Round, and I'm very proud of it. I am the tribal liaison to the Culture Committee. I am a beater, a weaver, a carver. I drum and sing our tribal songs. I collect and prepare our native plants. I do this because it's who I am, and also to be an example to our younger generation to keep our cultural identity alive, bringing what I have learned from our elders to future generations. As a leader, I think it is important to get out from behind the desk sometimes and be in the community with the members. I participate by being involved in culture events and other opportunities. I believe it's critical to understand members' perspectives by listening to what is important to them and by being a part of their world, instead of just observing from the outside. I develop relationships and hear their hearts up close and personal by showing interest regarding their concerns. As a sovereign nation, it is important to establish reciprocal relations with neighboring governments by educating them about who we are as Native people, thus building bridges with one another as diverse communities for economic opportunities. I personally sit on 8 boards. I believe that participating in these government-to-government connections gives our tribe representation and credibility in the business communities by offering us a place at the decision-making table. We must be diligent to correct our roles so that families that are divided become whole again. If we work fairly to help all families, we can begin to heal and become unified as a tribe. Unity is not determined by agreement. Unity does not mean we all think alike. Unity happens when we agree that everyone has value and everyone has something to say. Ayumasi, my tail.
Thanks, John. Sure.
Thank you. I'd like to say that it's been a pleasure to serve on Tribal Council for many years. I believe that there are purposes for people to live on this earth, and one of my callings was to serve on tribal council. I served on the first tribal council for the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde back in the early 80s, and then was employed. But my vision for the tribe has not changed. It's to eradicate the effects of termination. And it was for us to be whole, to be healed as people, that all the effects of termination would no longer be in us. So for the physical healing that took place, I'm proud to say that I was a part of that in developing all of our health services for our people that exist today. All of the grants and contracts that you have here are the ones that I worked on and brought here. They are sustaining, and they are still going on today. The one area that I'd really like to see, and why I work so hard at, is revitalizing our culture. As a distinct group of people, we're not a club, but we are a distinct ethnic group. And the blood that flows through our veins is unique among all those in the world. And so the revitalization of our culture is of paramount importance to me in all facets, from the language to the customary ways that we make objects and we deal with our artwork, and the way that we raise our families. The familiar love that we share, kindness that we have for one another has to be at the root of what we do. And so, as I spoke earlier, the effects of termination separated us and caused us to be in different places, and so that's very important to me. The other thing that I think about is really, where do you go home to? Well, our home is in Western Oregon. It's not just here at Grand Ronde, because we come from our tribal areas throughout Western Oregon, and our ties are there. So for us to be able to be at home in Western Oregon is really a dream and a vision of mine, so that we can say, I am home. This is where I belong. This is where my roots are. This is where my people came from for thousands of years, and I'm occupying that same land. When we think about living and what people need, there are basics of food, shelter, and clothing. Those things are things that I think about today as well. And for our people, our most vulnerable populations, those with mental health issues, those who have disabilities, those who are displaced, those who are homeless, and those who have addictions, that healing needs to be there for them too. So those things are in my heart, and those are things that I will continue work on, and that our enrollment issue is solved, and then we as a proud family can all stand together. Thank you.
Thank you. Good job, Karen. Just have a round of applause for all the candidates, please. Everybody, you guys all did really well representing yourselves. Thank you. So please do join us next Saturday up in Portland, 11 a.m. We'll go again 2.5 hours, probably get 3 or 4 questions in. As you can see, it takes a while to get through one question, so that's why I try to limit the time here to 2 to 3 minutes. All right, folks, thanks everybody. We'll see you next week.